Alright, welcome back to Case Closed, Anime Review, episode number 280. Yep, about 20 more to go until I reach episode 300 for this anime review series. And can you believe I only started reviewing Case Closed like 6 years ago? Yeah, for 6 years reviewing this one. Yep. So, in this episode, we are talking about the newest episode series, episode 1164, The 17-Year-Old Truth. Sorry about that. Yeah. 17-Year-Old Truth, The Bloody Night. Fun fact, the first canon episode released in quite a while. Some of you might be thinking like, how long had it been since we had a canon case release? The answer, I think this is the first canon case released since January. I have to take a look at that. I'm looking right now. Oh my gosh, yeah, not since January. That's how long it's been. Since the end of January, which was a little over 4 months ago. Yes. Yes. So, for the previous 2 weeks, the show had aired remastered episode of a two-parter that aired back in 2017, roughly 8 years ago. And there's a reason why, because basically the character introduced basically in that one, well, he shows up in this one. So, 17-Year-Old Truth, if you're curious, when was this released in the manga? Basically a little over 2 years ago. Yeah, that's how long it's been. A little over 2 years since they released it. Yeah, the manga concluded. The last chapter was released for this thing, like a little over 2 years ago. So, basically, this case, which, by the way, this was a 7-part story. Yes, 7-part story. It is the first multi-part to be that long. I mean, it's longer than the FBI serial murder case. And that was 6 parts. 6. And before that, the last known case to be that long, where the case was pretty lengthy. Well, there was a Shogi murder case. Shogi player serial murder case. That was a 3-parter adapted from 4 chapters. There is the Antique Fosse case, which I believe that one was when I covered the manga at that point. This one was a 4-parter, aired of course to 3 episodes. But if you can ask me personally, what was the last multi-part to last more than 2 or 3 episodes? The last one was the policewoman serial murder case. And that aired 5 years ago, and that was 4 parts. But here's, somebody asked, like, when was the last one that was longer than 4 parts? In terms of this anime, because a lot of the canon cases tend to be 2 or 3 episodes apiece. That's kind of how it is. It's been standard for years. And I'm looking at it right now. What was the last case to be longer than 2 or 3 episodes? Like, I'm looking. It's been a while. It was one 3-parter they adapted for a whole standalone episode because I think it was like an hour long. So, what was the last one that was not? Last one was basically, well, let's see, the Mystery Train murder case. That was 4 episodes. That one. Yep. But okay, what was the last one? Okay, there was one. This one's gonna be 4 parts, definitely. But so it's actually first one a little while. But first one basically like, if you want to think like, what was the last really lengthy murder case? Like lengthy case in terms of the anime. It had been a while. And you're thinking like, how long of a while had it been? Well, there was one particular case that was like Scarlet, I think it was. It was like 14 parts. Because they have a list on here. Let's see. Let's see. How long ago was that case here? $7.54. I'm tempted to look it up right now, like, because I remember hearing this arc was basically like, let's see, 7.54. Huh. Oh, that was the murder one. No, it's not what I'm looking for. I remember there was one case that they did. Because this was a while ago, I remember this was. And was a quite, like I said, a quite lengthy case. Oh, I know. Because it involved one particular person, where basically he was the reason why that the case was like so long in terms of the anime. Let's see. Aha! I thought it was that one. Oh, Skull Showdown was 3 parts. So, I'm looking. Okay. No, that can't be it. Because I remember there was an arc that was pretty lengthy in terms of the manga, where it was like the longest arc of the whole series, roughly 14 parts. I think it involved a different person. Hang on. I think she was the one. Okay, yeah, it was basically like, so it's the Clash of Red and Black. Yes. This is the one that it's basically a combination of 2 different cases, Clash Red and Black and the following one, where it's basically 14. Yeah. That was like 14 chapters, that one. Yep. Okay, so in the case of this episode, what actually happens in this one? So, we start out, I know it's been like 9 minutes, I've been talking about the actual episode itself. I was looking at some over here. Okay, so the episode opens up basically with Kobayashi giving her boyfriend, Sarahosha, a knight chess piece. And we learn about basically our individual characters here throughout the course of this episode. Yes. And our particular individuals, there is Naoto Kanahashi, where he has a habit of turning his night pieces toward him because he was nervous. There is Kenji Urugawa, it's a guy. There is Saratori, Kashi, and that's it. They do mention somebody basically lost because of somebody's phone playing the thing of Amazing Grace for reasons. Yeah, it's kind of baffling to say the least of why. And then they have the match where Satori basically takes the day off, and then his opponent is his boss. And he's like, "Oh, managing officer." Yeah, it's shocked the fact that he basically sees him. And then, of course, basically he loses the match, and then a murder happened. Well, basically lose the match, and then there's a boat, basically an arrow fired at one of the people participating in this tournament, and then later on, one guy who basically has, I think he's the oldest winner of all of them. I think he has like a cup with a K on it, basically for night, and then the glass is destroyed, and he's injured. So basically, Cohen and Harold were basically chasing down who possibly could be, and they stop across a bathroom, which has a closed for cleaning sign, but it's different from the one from the floor they're previously on. So that drew suspicion. But before we discovered the body, which turns out to be basically Naruto, he apparently picked up the chess piece that Satori was looking for, because after that it disappeared from his pocket. So he thought maybe we call in the stairwell, maybe use the bathroom, something like that. He didn't find it, but they did eventually find it next to the body. And it's got blood on it. And apparently this triggers a flashback for Hayato. Yeah, by the way, the episode actually opened up with a very interesting scene here. You have Mori having sushi brought over by Wakata, where Ran prepares food, and by the way, I remember reading this case. These two do not play a role in this case at all. This is one of those cases where he just is not there. Yeah. And Detective Boys are there along with their teachers, which one of those rare times both are there. So they discover the body, and there's like an arrow in his chest and 2 arrows in his thighs. And according to the managing officer later, he actually was still alive despite being hit with three arrows. Long enough to leave supposedly a dying message in his magazine, which was a cross magazine, and left like a bloody handprint. After talking about it, of course, one of them basically has got like a slash grab, so he knows was there. They heard a thud, but didn't know what the heck it was. So then, of course, basically then they, of course, basically do some investigating. But not much here per se. Satori is questioned as a possible suspect because his chest piece was found there. And Kobayashi was, by the way, when the managing officer sees Remy, she immediately thinks of the camping case, the burning tent thing, because from her perspective, that was the last time she ever saw the managing officer. That one case, which, if you're really curious, how long ago was that case? That was back in 2018. So she has not basically seen this man in terms of the anime in 7 years. And he's like, I think I met you earlier. Which is happened. Well, probably next episode with the flashback. And then the credits roll, and the episode ends with Rum in his car, smoking a cigar, looking out a window, windows roll down, and that's how the episode ends. Really good episode, and I can't wait for an episode next week. Next up, we have the excuse me, new chapter manga. I didn't realize it was out. Chapter 1144. Why is this not charging? Weird. Okay. So, chapter's called, this is 1144, The Man Who Was Summoned. So, basically he remembers, you have Conan thinking about various people of the Black Organization. There's Tequila, somebody who was last mentioned a while ago in the series. I think this is the same guy who actually once tried to kidnap sorry about that. Come on. Yeah, where he tried to kidnap Hydra, but that didn't work. And then, of course, there's like an explosion. Like a lot of stuff build up here, including possibly listening. Oh, apparently he's listening to a CD, possibly, and mentioned about Vermouth and all these other characters here. And we see May. I think it's like a second or third time she's been in a story here. Like, mention, oh yeah, basically about burning out flowers because the parent-child day thing, and she wanted her mom to come because she's ill, because apparently it was required she had to come, so like she was in the hospital. But they kind of did the whole Zoom thing, so they didn't have to basically worry about it. And there's a suspicious man arguing with this older guy, and then of course Conan thinks it's Jen, but not really. So then they discover who it is, and it's Carmel! Adrian Carmel! And I think the boys have no idea who the heck this guy is. And there's a good reason why they don't know who he is. They've never met before in the story. Oh, he's Ivory Anderson. He's part of that, case? Yeah. Like. And of course, basically, apparently he's lost some weight since he was last seen. Yes. And of course, they bye-bye, and then of course, there's like the stuff, there's a knife thrown. Yes, a freaking knife thrown. Like, oh, there's a knife fight. And then they eventually are trying to, some of the neighbors eventually go inside. There's like smoke. And they discover some Anka who's dead. And the guy's Bao who's crying. I think it might be her boyfriend. Like, don't touch her. It was a gun. And then, of course, basically, like, then, of course, Hybrid thinks, like, oh, crap, a black organization has happened. Like, yep. And then, Wakatagi just randomly shows up with some stuff, and he sees Carmel. By a chance, Miss Mirafor. Very interesting chapter, this one. Like, in the case of this one, I think in the case of, because the fact that Wakatagi is Rum, I think maybe he remembers seeing him from the FAS serial murder case. Possibly. But, good chapter. Loved it. Give it roughly a 10 out of 10. Yep. So yeah, that's particularly it. Particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. Next up, we have a comic corner. Yep. And the next is on to I've been killing science for 20 years and maxed out. Okay, thanks for you.